but y'all know him. Bill Nye, CEO of the Planetary Society. Come on up, Bill.
Thank you, Dr. Betts. Thank you, Dr. Betts. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, ignore the man in the blue shirt. No, give him a hand. He's Casey Dreyer. He's our new IT internet strategist. You have like four job titles, but one of them is plug it in. Yeah. So careful. Let's see if his bones light up. It's not going to work. It's not going to. You have to go over there. All right. Carry on. And thank you very much. And there's one of those. And okay. It's great to see you all. I was very excited about this talk until a couple minutes ago. Somebody asked me, is Bill Nye your real name? And I said, well, it's William Nye. And he said, why did you change it? I thought, these are space enthusiasts. This is the future. So is it plugged in? Is there a light on? This one has to be plugged in. You got it? Yeah. We don't have a light. Oh, here. No light. There's no light. How about the rocker switch on the... Yes! Ha! The switch was not pushed. That old trick. Now, Casey, it's great to see everyone. Can we plug this in too? Yeah. And then we're hoping to hit play. I say hit, click. Are there any questions of what we covered so far? So what happened was, to talk some more about me, I was a senior in high school. I had a very good physics teacher, and he's still working, Mr. Lang, and he encouraged me to, He encouraged me to take the physics AP exam, advanced placement exam, and I guess I did well enough. So just for kicks, without ever going there, without knowing anything about it, if you've ever seen U.S. football, it's called a Hail Mary pass. I applied to Cornell University. What the heck? And I got in. I don't know. It's like some sort of clerical error on their part, where the phone rang. Anyway, one thing led to another, and I had Carl Sagan for astronomy. And so just something that happened. Can we, is the first slide available, or were my bones light up? Wait, steady. No, okay, we're close. Wait, steady. Okay, wait, there it was. Okay, watch. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yes. Yes. So I stayed in touch with him. I would write him letters, and he's very good. People will tell you he was a very good letter writer. He wrote back. And then when he died, people contacted me to come to his memorial service. And then there, somebody asked me, Lou Friedman asked me to be on the board of directors of the Planetary Society. Well, then I became vice president. What happened? You leave the room, and you come back, and then you're vice president. And then a couple years ago, I mean, look, I'll just say it. Our chairman, Dan Gerasi, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's on our board, are really enologists. They're really wine enthusiasts. And I think something happened, and now I'm the CEO. I'm not clear on what happened, but now I'm the head guy of the Planetary Society, and I just want to thank you all so very much for coming. This is an extraordinary weekend. This weekend is going to change the world, and we are part of it. And the Planetary Society, through our political advocacy, and I know many of you are members and you write letters, you write petitions that we help you craft, we apparently have influenced policy enough where we're going to land on Mars tomorrow night. So thank you all very much. It's a fabulous thing. So one thing led to another. Now, oh yes, give yourselves a hand. Yes. One thing led to another, and here we are all this weekend for this extraordinary time. Now, since the days when I was in astronomy classes, people have pondered what Professor Sagan always referred to as comparative planetology, comparing one planet to another. So let's say that this picture of the sun, let's say that that picture represents the sun. Then this picture of the Earth will represent the Earth. Now, for those of you who are not from around here, the Earth is one astronomical unit, one AU from the sun. And it's very easy to remember. You go up to an astronaut, an astrophysicist, an astronomer, and you say, AU! How far is the Earth from the sun? And then he would, or she would respond, AU, AU? And that would be correct. So the Earth is one astronomical unit, and it's such a place in space that we have liquid water. Mars, on average, is 1.5 times that far away. And the Martian orbit is the most out of round of all the orbits. But it has ice caps. It's cold enough to have ice caps. Mercury is 40%, 0.4 AU. Venus, 70%, 3/4 of the way. And so these distances have a tremendous effect on our ability to live here on Earth. Mercury, being closer to the sun, you would expect it to be hotter. Yes? Am I going too fast? You'd expect it to be hotter. And it is. But it has ice and a crater at the North Pole. If I may ask you, what is up with that? How is that possible? One side of the thing is hot enough to make your chairs turn to jelly, and yet there's ice at the pole. And the reason is, apparently, Mercury's too small to have enough gravity to hold molecules of gas. It doesn't have an atmosphere. So it's hot and cold. Mars, farther away, is quite cold. It's so cold. Yes. It's so cold it has ice at the poles that's dry ice, that's frozen carbon dioxide. Then Venus, being 3/4 of the way, you'd expect it to be warmer. But it is extraordinarily warmer, much warmer. It's so warm, how warm is it? On the surface of Venus, lead would melt. Your little fishing weights turn to liquid because the atmosphere of Venus is so thick. Now, this was discovered in my lifetime, and I often wondered what discoveries will be for the young people here in their lifetime that I can't even imagine. I mean, for those of you who are of my age, baby boom people, in our lifetime, tectonic plates were verified. Nobody really believed, no one was sure of tectonic plates till we were kids. The asteroid impact that killed the ancient dinosaurs was in our lifetime. The ability to live on the bottom of the ocean where the water is above boiling at atmospheric pressure and super salty and corrosive, there's whole ecosystems down there that were discovered in my lifetime. I just can't even imagine what will be discovered in the young people's lifetime, but I'll tell you this, it will be extraordinary, and this weekend will be part of it. On Venus, it's so hot, how hot is it, that it rains sulfuric acid, okay, they're not kidding, and it doesn't hit the surface because the surface is so hot it evaporates before it gets to the ground. If you guys haven't done this in some time, I encourage you to do this. I hope you remember the game where you can't walk on the floor because the floor is like lava. And then you can't drink out of the sink because that's like acid. Okay, well on Venus it's really like that. Okay, so if we get nothing else out of comparative planetology, we get that we do not want to be Venus. So Mars is cold, Mercury's pretty hot, Venus is way too hot, but the Earth is just right. And the reason is the atmosphere. Now, through space exploration, we have pictures like this one. If you showed this to my father, who was a pretty good photographer, he might have thought the picture's out of focus. But it's not out of focus. That's the Earth's atmosphere. If you could drive straight up for an hour and a half at freeway speed, you'd be in outer space. And that thinness of the atmosphere is what makes our lives possible. And that is what we at the Planetary Society want everybody in the world to know and appreciate. To know and appreciate what I call our place in space. So with this, I would like to tell you a story. My father was referred to himself as Ned Nye, boy scientist, and he was quite the amateur rock hound. He was a geologist. And if you're not familiar, that's a rock hammer. And then those of you who don't get out that much, those are rocks. And this is at Mount Katahdin, Maine, back east someplace. And you talk to the hardcore geologists, they don't even think of the rocks that we have here as really being rocks. They're just not worthy. They're not old enough. But there must be a lot of geologists here. And for those of you who aren't geologists, you can recognize them. They walk around like this, just hoping to find a new one. Yeah. Well, this one's different. It looks the same. No, this one, no, it tells a story. So my father liked science, and he liked rocks and stuff, but through family pressure, he went to law school. And I don't want to shock any of you, but apparently he didn't like it. Weird. Yeah, weird. Never heard of it. So he had this cool idea. He took a summer off and got a job on Wake Island. Now, if you go to Hawaii and then you go about that far again, you get to this island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean called Wake Island. And they were building an airstrip for the U.S. Navy. But if you know that much about 1941, that was cool in the summer. But December 7th, 1941, they were bombed, along with Pearl Harbor and many other targets in what came to be called the Pacific Theater. So my father was captured on Christmas Eve, 1941, and he was taken to China. And they had no clocks or watches. They had no jewelry. All their jewelry was confiscated. So my father became fascinated with sundials. Apparently, the family myth is he would tell the guards when it was time to eat lunch, tell the guards when it was break time, such as it was. And he lived through this thing, and he came back fascinated with sundials. He designed the venerable sand dial, which you take to the beach so you don't have to get sand in your watch. He wrote articles for I grew up in Washington, D.C., go Nationals. He wrote articles for the local papers, Washington Post, Evening Star. And then he wrote a book about sundials. And when the book came out, that's when he was given the lifetime membership in the North American Sundial Society, which, you know. Are there accountants here, any CPAs? And you know how they party. You know how it's crazy when you're with the accountants. Let me tell you, when you are with the sundial people, it is off the hook. It is nuts. A bunch of people standing around. Look, the shadow. It's moving. Look, it's moving. Anyway, they really do that, or we really do that. So I thought I was immune from this. I thought I was going to be fine. But I admit that as recently as last summer, I was at the beach, and I found myself making a pizza box into what's called a polar dial. And it's furnished by my sweetheart there with the colored pencils. Oh, anything that's on the sundial that doesn't tell time is called its furnishing. The sundial's furnishing. So this is furnished with colored pencil and some stationery. And if you look in the background, you'll see the sand dial still in service, still works. And at this point, you might say this guy is suffering from SOD, from sundial obsessive disorder. I could quit if I want to. I just don't want to, that's all. So I grew up with all this, you guys, and I wasn't aware of it. But I got invited to a meeting by Dr. Jim Bell, our own Jim Bell, now the president of the Planetary Society. Coincidence? Perhaps. Anyway, he invited me to a meeting at Cornell University. This is when the Science Guy show was popular. And they had the engineering drawings for what became the Spirit and Opportunity rovers laid out on this big table. And they had this thing. There, the thing. It's a great thing. And you see it's a lot better than the other thing. Excuse me, Dr. Bell, what is the thing? You know, well, Bill, that's the photometric calibration target. Photometric calibration, that's what that is. So it's a test pattern. Yeah, it's a test pattern. So you point the camera at it and you want to get the colors right. For those of you familiar, in 1976, for a couple days, the Viking rovers sent back pictures where the sky on Mars was blue. But the sky on Mars is not blue. And it's because electronically you can adjust it to anything you want. I mean, here's the trick. When you look at the shadow of a stick, you will see the color of the light hitting the stick. So if you look at my shirt and you make a shadow, if you've never done this, I strongly encourage you guys to do this. Today's a pretty sunny day, although there's quite a bit of there are quite a few white clouds in the sky, cloud cover. Make a shadow. You can use your finger or a pen or your friend's head, whatever you got at hand. And you'll see the shadow is gray. Yes, thank you, Bill. The shadow is gray. That's great. That's great. But if you, but if you look closely at this shadow, you'll also see, I think, that it's yellow from these lights. There's a little bit of yellow. And so in this vacuum chamber, this thermal vacuum chamber where they were testing the photometric calibration target, you can see the yellow color in the shadow. And we did not have a word for this in English, so I was forced to make it up. Xanthidescence. The tinge of yellow. Come on, Pete, it starts with an X. Come on. It's sexy. So here's the thing. They're taking a metal stick to Mars to do nothing but cast a shadow. And at first, I want to tell you, I did get a job for a while. I was an engineer at Boeing. I worked on 747s. Okay, I was very well supervised. Don't worry. It was good. There is a tube in the 747 horizontal stabilizer that I kind of think of as my tube. Yeah, that's it. And the reason it took me 3 years to convince my bosses to put the tube in there is because it added weight to the plane. You're never supposed to add weight. That's evil. So I'm looking at this metal stick, and they're taking it all the way to Mars to cast a shadow so they can get the colors right. And then my heritage wells up within me. And I say, hey, everybody, come on. We've got to turn the photometric calibration target into a sundial. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sir. They're looking at me like, as you are, yeah. Bill, it's the space program, really. We have clocks now. Bill, I see you're wearing a watch. No, it'll be cool. We can turn the photometric calibration target and we can reckon time on another world. It'll be like people who speak Klingon. There are a lot of you here. Except it'll be real. It's real. So Steve Squires, the head guy, said, okay. So we turned the photometric calibration target into a sundial. My father's great idea was to turn the Washington Monument into a sundial. There'd be plinths and hour lines, then, terrorists and stuff would have to drive around these great rocks. It would be great. Now, we didn't have a word for this, so I had to make it up. If you look at the base there, it's a little bit blue, and that's from the Earth's sky. And that's what I had to make up this word, cirrulescence, for a tinge of blue. Yeah, you're going to use it. Yes. But this heritage really got with me. And so, my friends, there are right now 2 sundials on Mars. So instead of the sky of Mars being blue, it's this color. Now, what is that color? That's ecru, or eggshell, or taupe, or salmon, or something. If you go to Macy's, do you know where they sell women's stockings, that rack? It's in the upper right there. I don't wear women's stockings. I'm a huge fan, but I don't wear them. But if you look right there, there is the Mars dial. We call it, and Woody Sullivan, the guy who really worked on it, just loves having an upper and lower case word. He thinks that's great. Mars dial. So if you look closely at the shadow of the Mars dial, by the way, this picture is not out of focus. Nothing at NASA is out of focus. That would be a mistake. No, this is a completely different situation. This is defocused. Totally different. No, it's just too close to the lens. It can't ever get in focus. It's all right. But if you look down there in the lower right, you can see the color of the Martian sky. We didn't have this word. Orangeadescence. Orangeadescence for a tinge of orange. Now, if you have never done this, and I bet there are a few people in here who actually have, when you hold a piece of something that is leaving the Earth, it really is a spooky feeling. It's really something. That thing in my hand, well, I'm here, that's a picture of me. The thing in my hand is the Mars dial, number 3, that sat in Jim Bell's drawer for close to 5 years. And the budget of the Curiosity Mars Science Laboratory rover program is so tight. How tight is it? We didn't even make another one and put that one in the Smithsonian. Took it out of the guy's drawer, blew it off, and it's going to Mars. Now, if my father were, yes, right on. Right on. If my father were here, he would remind you, sundial should have a motto, should give you something to think about. And you'll see, like if you go to some, with all due, some hippie school, like in Oregon or something, it'll say, life is but a shadow. Like, dude, like, wow. But you'll see very commonly it'll say, I only count the sunny hours. Well, yeah, you're a sundial, yes, yeah. Thanks for the tip, yeah. And it's not uncommon in France. It says, in French, the key word is blessant. It says, every hour injures. Yeah. The last hour kills. That's right. It's a sunny day. That's great. Yeah, count the hours because you were going to die. That is great. Well, anyway, the sundial's on Mars, the one that's on its way now, just so you know, says, to Mars to explore. Okay, all right. So when you explore, 2 things happen. First of all, you're going to make discoveries. You're going to find things you didn't expect to find. I guarantee you we will do that tomorrow night. The other thing that happens is you will have an adventure. You will have an adventure. And that's why we are all here, to share in that adventure. So before I go to the next slide, I just want to remind you there is some xanthidescence there in the shadow. And those are holiday lights in the background. That was Jim Bell's living room when he was a professor at Cornell. Now he's at Arizona State. Anyway, what I'd all like you to consider as members of the Planetary Society, future members of the Planetary Society, renewing members of the Planetary Society, big supporters of the Planetary Society, and all I'd like you to consider is to build an Earth dial. So we did this in 2004, and we're revving the project up again. This is where we get people around the world to build a sundial 10 times the size of the ones on Mars. The ones on Mars are 80 millimeters, fit in the palm of your hand. When you go out, and you can see some on display there, some replicas. The first 3 are gone. And this one is 80 centimeters. So 80 centimeters is about 34.5 inches. It fits on a standard table, or you get a standard piece of plywood. And this is one I built back in 2004. I see some young people here. And so you gotta, what the hip thing is to rig up a camera. And in those days we had the early days of webcams. Now it's going to be, I think, a lot smoother, and we'll capture images every day from everybody's camera. And you want to get it to the north, you want to get it to the south side of the dial, so the letters are right side up. And in order to do it in the northern hemisphere, you have to come over the top in an L-shaped thing. It's stupid big fun. And I remind you, what's a great way to get a watertight or weather-tight container is a flashlight, a waterproof flashlight. Very inexpensive thing. And you have a window that the camera can see through. So what happened, the thing was working so well, it would even detect moonlight. I could see a shadow from the moon. It was quite cool. And that was with a primitive camera. So people built them around the world. And if you look at this picture and take a few minutes, you'll see that the hour lines are arranged differently depending on where it is on Earth. We even got somebody in Antarctica to build one where the thing goes all the way around the post in the Antarctic summer. Anyway, it's quite an insight into what I like to call our place in space. By examining these dials and thinking about it, you learn that the world is round. Thank you, Bill. But you learn it in an intimate way that most people don't get. You know, you can go to the office supply store and buy your calendar with puppies or kittens, or puppies and kittens. And you can get the firefighters with no shirts on. You can get all that stuff. But the calendar itself is perfect. And we all kind of take that for granted. So my claim is, by taking a few minutes and studying a sundial, you will learn about your place in space. And if you do this, and if you participate, yes, we will send you your own Space Geek button. Yeah, a man can dream, a woman can dream, yes. So I went to Cape Canaveral last November, and for the launch. It was absolutely spectacular. It was just one day late. So they had 12 days to launch, and they went on the second day. And it's interesting to note that no matter when it launched in those 12 days, it was still going to arrive tomorrow night at 10:17. The radio signal gets here at 10:31 or 2 tomorrow night. Because that, my friends, is rocket science. So I want everybody to appreciate the spin of Mars, where Mars is in its orbit, the spin of Earth, where Earth is at its orbit. All that's worked out, and then you work backwards to have the optimum communication for the beginning of the mission. It's a fantastic thing. So this rover now, because of the delay in getting it worked out, is now about $2.5 billion. And I'm warning you, and I have been in meetings and I've spoken about this rover is not even locked. Anybody can walk up to this thing. I don't know. If I'm going too fast. So on the edge of each Mars dial, as a tribute, really, in my way of thinking, a legacy of Carl Sagan and the Planetary Society, on the edge of each dial, in very small letters, is the first message to the future since the Voyager missions, which even got into Star Trek movie. They're so important. The first, these missions that are shot out of the solar system, a message just to anybody. This is putting a message in a bottle and throwing it in the ocean. Now, if somebody finds it, that message that you put in the bottle and throw in the ocean, that's great. But really, that message is for you. It's really for each of us. I mean, we give a lot of thought to what goes in the message, and it's important to you. So around the edge of the dial, it says, among other things, to those who visit here, we wish a safe journey and the joy of discovery. And that, my friends, is the essence of this business. That is why we are all here, is the joy of knowing, the joy of discovery. And we are all part of it. And tomorrow night, we are going to, dare I say it, change the world. So what? I am the science guy. We have expectations, okay? Well, let me just do a couple things. Let me just run through a couple things. This is a precision scientific instrument here. I have another one here, I believe. Yes, it is to be hoped. Yes. And did anybody bring, hang on, steady, steady. Wait. Yeah. Nope, wait. Yes, wait. I know where it is. Nobody leave this room. Aha! Did anybody bring any liquid nitrogen? So I've got some right here. We're good. I thought of that. And what we'll do is we'll just put a little in here. The only thing that goes wrong with this stuff, and I've never had any problem, the only thing that goes wrong is if you get it in your eye, and I've never done that. So you can see it's a clear liquid, and it's so cold that it's boiling right now, right here in the room. And next time I got to get a heavier one of those. So the stuff is really remarkable. I'll put it in this happy flask, and you can watch it boil. And if you've never done this, it is big, stupid fun. Here's an ordinary banana, which will freeze. And what is just terrific fun is to roast marshmallows. Now, for those of you who are safety conscious, for some reason, I remind you that it's really, when I handle this stuff, what does this one say? Yeah, best served cold. Yeah. When you handle this stuff, I don't recommend gloves because, not that I would know, but I've heard that if you work at a science center in Seattle and you're wearing gloves and it gets in the back of your gloves, yeah, it doesn't boil off your hands. The insulation of the glove holds it there. So if you've never done this, you can take a quantity of this and pour it, and it just boils away before it really gets anywhere. I'm glad I've grown out of this. And you get an ordinary banana and cook it, and it doesn't sound like a banana. And then the big fun, of course, for all of us, after the marshmallows are roasted, is to chew them. So we can play with those a little bit later, but we have a big schedule today, and I just want to do one last demonstration that I've always found so compelling, is the doctor in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, a man whose character had no name, the Dr. Robert Picardo.
Thank you, Bill.
Bob, may I offer you a marshmallow?
Yeah, I'd love one.
Yeah. You just chew it and close your lips and you get that full effect.
All righty.
Yeah. He's a professional. So if you would, can you hold that candle that I mentioned that? Yeah. And I'm going to light it.
Jacket off, Bill?
Do you want to?
Are you going to damage my jacket?
I don't think so, unless something extraordinary happens.
I noticed you have a lab coat for this, and I don't.
So, Bob, let me just say, this is a candle. So, when it's lit, you could, if you felt like it, take the candle and light the tablecloth on fire. And the tablecloth would catch on fire, and then the stage would catch on fire, then the carpet, and then the whole building would catch on fire, and then the Paseo, Colorado would be on fire, then fire trucks would come from everywhere, and then there'd be this conflagration. Or you can just be aware it's a candle. So, Bob, if you would, go kind of far down, what do we call it? Camera right, stage left. And I will then use this ordinary box of science. Yes, it's an extraordinary device with 2 holes cut in it and a shower curtain draped over the end. 3, 2, 1. Yes, pretty impressive. 3, 2, 1. Yes, oh, there's his arm, his sleeve. Yes, ooh, high, whoa, oh. Yes, ah. Now, Bob, you have worked on stage for a long time.
Yes.
Have you ever gotten applause for having a candle blow out?
No.
See, it's science.
So we're going to press our luck and try again.
Yeah, we are. Steady, careful. Now, Bob, I'm sure you recognize this.
Yes.
As Steve Martin said, you blow words into it. Then when it pops, it goes, doggone it. No. It's a joke. So, Bob, do you recognize that shape?
The shape?
Yes, the shape.
Yes, I do.
What is it? Sorry, I'll boost the microphone. It is a...
It's an oblong.
Oblong is correct, but Bob, look closely. I think anyone can see. It's a fish.
Yes,
Clearly a fish.
it's a fish.
So, Bob, if you would,
Yes.
hold the fish from below,
All right.
between you and the candle, pretty close to the candle, and I predict that air will go around the balloon and hit the candle. Yeah, I guess that's what I meant, yeah. A little closer to the candle, I believe. Close, like knots within centimeters of the candle. Knot within balloon knot, yes. Ooh. No?
Too close?
Closer, usually closer. If I hit it really hard. 3, 2, 1. A little farther away. You're joking me. My wife is having heck. Where'd you get this candle? It's still not out. No, we got to keep moving. Believe me, it's painfully aware. I'm painfully aware. We got to keep moving. Just, how about you thwap it and I'll hold it?
All right.
You thwap. Kids. Robert Picardo, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Bob.
How about another marshmallow?
Yeah, have one. Have another marshmallow. Here we go. Robert Picardo, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I go, I just want, this demonstration compelled me since I was a little kid watching bees. What is the real shape of the puff of air coming out of the puff of air box of science? You might think it's a ball. You might think it's a bullet shape. You might think it's a teardrop. But I'll show you. I have here everybody's favorite, wait, steady, the theater fog machine. And I will fill this box with this theater fog. Now, everybody, I have breathed this stuff for years and years on television, and you can see I'm fine. So here's the real shape of the air coming out. And it really is extraordinary. And when we go to land on Mars, you had better believe that the people who figured this out understood these vortex rings. So I want you to think about one last thought before we do this one last reference. When you're on a surfboard or in a boat and the wave goes under you, the boat goes up and down, right? The wave passes under you and nothing happens. But in this case, the fluid, the air, is passing through the air. And it was with discoveries like this that we can, dare I say it, change the world! So I am very proud to serve you as the CEO of the Planetary Society, and I have a little announcement to make. We made a deal with a certain very large internet-based company, and now we will have a way to explore the planet Mars in an extraordinary fashion. It's mars.google. It is not, and it's going to be mars.planetary, and in the next month or so, we just closed this deal, I guess it was Tuesday, we're going to have it available, this way to travel over the planet Mars from your laptop. It's really extraordinary. There's much, much more to it than what would be the analog of Google Earth. There's much, much more information. And we as the Planetary Society are very excited to announce what we are calling Mars-O-Vision. So please, everybody, tour Mars and support the Planetary Society. Casey, is there something else we should say?
Join.
Join, yes, right. Join the Planetary. Thanks, you guys. Let's change the world. Lovely. You want one?
Yeah.
It's real good for you, doctor.
I drink it. I usually drink it straight.
I don't blame you.
Wow. You left a little bit of stuff up here.
Can you hand me my sport cup?
I'd love to. How about this case for your spiffy glasses?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Hey, Bill, I got good news. You may have heard it. Planetfest tomorrow, completely sold out.
Sold out. Thank you all. Thank you. Great job.
I'm hoping that you all have your tickets for Planetfest tomorrow. If you're watching the webcast and you don't have tickets and want to come down, we will have an overflow viewing event in the Civic Auditorium just in the evening. You can get more information at planetfest.org. And we're going to take one question when Bill gets back over here. Bill, we've got a question for you from the magical world of the internet, and there are many Planetfest sites all around the country, and we've had some questions submitted ahead of time. So let's go ahead and run that, and then Bill will give us his inspired answer.
From the Museum of Science.
My name is Aurora and I'm 5 years old. What will the Curiosity rover look for? I can't wait to go to Mars.
Thank you. First of all, let me say I was 5 years old for a while. So I know
How
what
long?
it was a year. It was right? An Earth year. An Earth year, yeah. So Bill, you're from Earth. Yeah, I know, yes, I am. My old boss, I was never sure. What Curiosity will look for? It is the next step in the search for water and life. And my friends, is it Kirsten? Was that, it went by fast. You will probably be alive when we find evidence of life on Mars. My friends, if we find evidence of life on Mars, it will change the world. And we are doing it for much less than a fancy cup of coffee per taxpayer. So thank you all very much, Kirsten. Way to go. I'll see you on Mars. It'll be big fun. Thank you all. Is there another question, or we're all good? Bill, you're cutting into everybody else's time. Let's go. Is that right? Thanks, you guys. Thank you.